The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, Monster Energy, and DHL.
Howdy, Chiefs, and welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series. It is the fourth cup of our fifth season, and we are now in the grand finals. Welcome back also to the main stage, the one, the only Clash Bashing. Bash, we have got an awesome war ahead of us. What do you expect to see next?
Well, hopefully not a missed attack in the first couple of attacks. That's been our storyline today, is 2 stars in the first couple of attacks have cost all of our teams thus far. So hopefully, if there's a missed attack, it comes down there at the end. So it's a little bit of a closer battle, and we can have a little bit of drama build up to the hype ending. But I think both of these teams should be able to deliver on that as we take a look at our grand final, Dizi Blast versus Momentum Shifters.
Yeah, the hype and excitement could not be any higher for these two teams. Extraordinary squads that have made it to a very impressive finish. Despite not having any leaderboard points at all to their names, they are now in striking distance of making it onto the season finals. Dizi Blast has got an awesome lineup including Schneider, Zahid, Den, Yaga, Chien, and Milanello AF.
Yeah, this team has been very, very solid, very, very consistent thus far throughout our tournament. I've really liked what I've seen from them, to be honest. I mean, they've got some known players and some unknown players in there, but they are making the best of this opportunity. But on the other hand, we have the Momentum Shifters, Leo, Ahmed, Sean, Zken, and Irman. These guys have been putting up some really good numbers, some really good results in a lot of tournaments, not just our own tournament, throughout all of Clash of Clans esports. They do already have the silver ticket, if I'm correct there, so they're kind of just playing to for honor and maybe even to keep Dizi out of our grand final and the chance for that silver ticket.
Well, they're also playing for the money they can gain in the season finals, $50,000. And as we were just reminded by Maxi, it's a minimum $2,000 prize from the team that's able to advance to the season finals. That would be the 8th place finish from the top squads in this month's competition for this season, but way more to be gained. You can go 10x that much if you get first place, $20,000 for the top team in this season's Snapdragon Pro Series. So that is a lot to compete for both of these squads. And yeah, Dizi Esports as well, looking for that last chance qualifier ticket. There is still so much excitement and energy among these two teams, and a lot of stakes on the line here, Bash.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about it at the open of the show. There was a few teams in here that needed to win and get in, Dizi being one of those teams. Momentum Shifters could look to play spoiler, keep them out of our grand finals that are next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. I know Maxi gave CEST and UTC. Well, us American, Eastern and Pacific. I guess it'd be what does 7 Pacific? What do you got? 9 a.m. Central?
A little early. Hey, that sounds right, about the right time though. I'm just gonna punch it into my handy dandy Google time translator thing, anyways. But
that's what I always do is whoop, whoop.
At a reasonable hour, and we can get the exact details before the end of the stream for anyone who might need it. But this next match is going to be shaping up very shortly, with these two teams already having their bases deployed and getting them armies cooked up and ready to rumble. Dizi and Momentum Shifters have had an impressive run already today with the teams that they've defeated. Dizi coming in over the top of Marcos Esports, but also, with Marcos taking the win over Millicene, Dizi has got a very impressive run, taking a seed from one of the golden ticket holding teams. But the same can be said in Momentum Shifters. They actually got a win directly over Synchronic. And so you know that there is so much riding on this next war that these two teams are going to be very excited to prosecute to the utmost.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been watching Clash of Clans esports, some would say that Momentum Shifters over Synchronic was a little bit of a surprise, but if you've been watching this season, I mean, Momentum Shifters have been right there in all of our tournaments, all the community tournaments, all the qualifiers, so this team is very solid, very well put together. I don't think it's a big surprise that we see them here in our final for Cup number 4 and potentially into our grand final. So Momentum Shifters looking to kind of set tone here. Dizi, obviously, they have to win this. They have to get through here. But we will also have some tiebreaker scenarios, which could be interesting. Schneider's going to come in first with the Root Rider attack. Tons of those barbarians and their spiky ball on the king. Just setting this one up really nice. Looks like the giant arrow from the queen was already deployed through the middle of the base. Also with an earthquake to take out the rage tower near that town hall, which kind of counters, instead of needing the overgrowth, that rage tower is off now. So you don't really need that overgrowth and you don't have to circle back to the town hall.
Yeah, an impressive start here so far from Schneider, going in a lickety split toward that Town Hall. He is going to take a lot of damage now as the 2 scatter shots and the Town Hall Giga Bomb are going to be exploding, but he pops that Grand Warden Eternal Tome just in time to deny the big shock of damage that could have come in there. We've got a Royal Champion still left to deploy her ability, with the Barbarian King even getting a smack. Whoa, what is going on with that ability?
Oh.
Fists were flying all over the map, Bash.
Yeah, maybe a little.
What's going on?
I don't know, but he hit him with the 1-2 piece, Woody, and it's going to be a restart here with a minute 9 minutes. No, I think it was a minute 9. I don't think it ticked over there. A minute 9 seconds is really, really quick. That's exactly what you want if you're Dizi. I think this is really close to that time. Oh, we just missed it. We just missed that king there, but very nice open. Schneider has been solid. That's exactly what they needed.
I hope I wasn't the only one
to look at and like, maybe could have saved a few seconds there. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, because that would be very disappointing for Momentum Shifters, but those are the things we got to kind of keep in the back of our head as this war progresses and we get into our second volley of attacks here.
Right, you are. There is still a lot left in this war and a lot of excitement from these players, still trying to figure out who is going to be the king of this final round. The grand finals is what it all comes down to in the end, and with an ever so slight 7-second lead, Dizi Blast now are going to be not happy yet with where they're at, but certainly definitely going to be a little bit excited about where things are shaping up. I think that they have got a lead that is going to be really difficult to start to shake psychologically in the heads of the Momentum Shifters. They know that with those seconds coming in against them so far, they're gonna have to start bit by bit trailing off on that. But who is left on the Momentum Shifters roster that we can take a look at maybe that has had really quick attacks in the past? I know that Zekin has. Akma was actually the quickest attacker in the last war, and so coming in with a minute and 16 already at a deficit to Dizi, that's got to be some bad news for them, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of been like a little bit of a coast in here. We haven't really seen either team have to really like put their foot down through the floor and press that gas and go as fast as they can. So I think as this war progresses and we see less and less mistakes, I think we'll have to see who can come up with that big strike. We do have dragons. Here comes that giant arrow through the middle of the base with the queen. She will go ahead and have those healers in there, and then here comes a siege barracks up top to deal with that enemy king. I like that play quite a bit. Dragons are in right there at about the 10-second mark. We talked about that a little bit earlier, getting those troops in early, especially all those high damage dealing troops, and Zahid has that going right away as the king and queen are on the left side, dragons up the middle, and they should make their way to the town hall very soon.
Marching onward, and those dragons have got some great protection from that Grand Warden. The Eternal Tome popped early, but that is not going to be too much of a worry for them as they're marching on now right into the core. Overgrowth is down, and great protection for them so far. Just one scatter shot going to be a bit of a dastardly defense for Zahid to have to deal with. It's backed up with support from an enemy Royal Champion on defense and that huge ricochet cannon that's going to force out a freeze from Zahid, the last spell he's got here now, Bash.
Yeah, but he's cooking through here. This Royal Champion spiky ball comes over to assist with the King. Last defense goes down, so the Royal Champion will be able to get over here and help out with these last few buildings. And it's going to be a minute 11. Dizi is flying through here. Their first 2 attacks, a minute 10-second average. That is exactly where you want to be. Now you're going to start having momentum shifters be in a position where they're going to need to go quicker. We're seeing 70 seconds or less so far on the first 2 attacks for Dizi. So momentum shifters are going to start looking at these bases and start looking, where can we make up times? Could we do something? Can we go with a crazy fireball rocket loon strategy maybe? I mean, I think we see that towards the end of the war if it's a little bit, out of reach. But for now, I think they stick to their ball game and just look, where can we shave off a few seconds here and there with any of these plans?
Good points, Bash. Great questions for these players. They're going to have to ultimately answer it and give us some sort of definitive tilt one way or the other. But with Zahid scoring a confirmed 1 minute and 11-second strike, it is still extraordinarily quick. A 70-second average time so far on the first 2 hits from Dizi Blast, and they are just blazing a trail to the finish line now with the momentum shifters trying to keep pace. Their second attack would need to be a minute and 4 seconds if they wanted to be able to even up the time race at this point. A really difficult bar to set at so high a standard. So, man, I got to be feeling for both of these teams right now. It is not going to be an easy march onward either way, but I am very excited to see how it turns out because so far we have got a terrifyingly close match, Bash.
Yeah, but this is what we need. This is what we need in our grand finals. After all of our wars thus far have been kind of lopsided, not necessarily lopsided. I mean, it's been 14-15, but it felt like lopsided because it's always been that early attack. This is what we need. We need a closer war, finish on a strong note, and momentum shifters. I'm just wondering, can they make up this time without making a mistake? Because, like you mentioned, a minute 4 seconds. It's not impossible, but it does. It's there in like kind of the upper echelon when you start talking about times. I mean, we have seen Einstein go 51 seconds earlier today, but that's a whole different thing. You have to be consistent, you have to be strong, but also not make any mistakes while you're doing it.
Well, let's see how they choose to prosecute this next hit. It is going to be a tough follow-up now. Momentum shifters know that they have got a lot left ahead of them to pull off a victory yet in this war. But will it happen? They are going to be moving in next, and a minute and I'd say 10 seconds has got to be what they're shooting for here if they want to try to stay within reach of Dizi. Imran marching in with a spiky ball, giant arrow, and Frosty on the Queen. Interestingly enough, Electro Owl for a lot of big solid damage, but not going to be bringing the same sort of pets that we've seen from most other players for this Mass Dragon army.
We're starting to see Frosty be used on Queen just a little bit more, and it allows her just to get a little bit more value out of that push that she has, with her getting the 3 healers out of her archer, the healer puppet, excuse me, and then using that giant arrow early. The Frosty just takes a little bit of the pressure off her when she goes into those high damage areas. Here comes the overgrowth on the town hall. The rage spell did not go off. A lot of times we wait for that rage spell to go off, but the troops kind of weren't making their way in, and he needed that sweeper taken care of. So Imran goes ahead and uses the overgrowth. Now the dragons will path around. Royal Champion and King are working on the top side, so they should be able to direct traffic there. But we have to deal with the town hall, and there is a rage tower yet to go off.
Big, heavy opportunity now for Imran to try to get this timing even closer. He's dropping every spell he's got as the freeze is going to be going down. Rage as well to help those Hog Riders. And the core of the base has got its last freeze off. 1 minute mark, and he's only got 2 buildings left. That is exactly what the momentum shifters needed, folks. What a fast hit from Imran in the barely over 1 minute category. We now have a lead for the momentum shifters on time against a Dizi esports squad that seemed to be going faster and faster, but could not keep pace against the momentum shifters with such a huge hit.
I had that one at 1 minute, 1 second, Woody. So a 10-second shift there. Momentum shifters will actually be up 3 seconds now after our second attacks. Yes! This is what I'm talking about. We talk about the speed meta, and this is what I like to see from it. If we're going to go fast, let's go fast, Ricky Bobby. Both these teams are living up to the hype so far.
Beautiful analogy, beautiful reference. I love that there is such a great, energy from both of these teams to, ratchet up the excitement even higher as we get into the mid-war now. We've got a confirmed time from Dizi Blast at the 1 minute and 10 second mark average, while Momentum Shifters are now at 1 minute and 8 seconds average. Ooh. So super close and given us a lot to look forward to as this war continues now, but still perfection on both sides. Neither players given any space to their opponents, and a lot still left to take place in this match, Bash.
Woody, this could be one of those wars where we see like 1:25, 1:30 end up costing one of these teams. The way this is going, the way these teams are playing, I mean, what our slowest attack is 116 thus far. So if you start seeing something above 120, that's really kind of getting in that danger zone. I love these kinds of wars. If we're going to have a speed meta, if we're going fast, if we're tripling everything, let's have it close like this where it can come down to the very last attack. Dizi's up next to bat. Let's see if they can hit it out of the park, or maybe at least try to go for a triple, rounding those bases as quickly as possible.
I want to see it happen. Let's get it on, guys. We are going to be getting into this attack shortly, so bear with us just a few more moments. But what would you say, Bash, are you expecting to see in terms of attack strategies? Is it going to be going back to the ground as those Root Rider Valkyrie armies have been so effective before? Or do you think that there's been a pivot to the skies as more dragons have been brought out time and again now?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been kind of a little bit of a mix here from Dizi. However, Momentum Shifters going both dragons. Obviously, I don't know what the next base looks like, but it feels like Dizi kind of likes those Root Riders, but they're also kind of competent with the dragons. I don't know if we see something else, something crazier than that, but I would definitely, if I had to guess, I think we would go with a Root Rider attack here, as they can go pretty quickly with them. Yep, there we go. Root Riders, Valkyries, even a couple of those Druid troops in there. I love the addition of 2 Druids here from Chien, as we do see the spiky ball, giant arrow. We're seeing a lot of giant arrows just to direct that queen in the right direction. Here comes the Siege Barracks.
With 2 heroes cruising along the outer top right edge, it's going to be that big overgrowth now right on top of the town hall to try to shut down most of the defenses while those Root Riders catch up. 13 Super Barbarians still yet to commit to this raid, and that is a lot of DPS that he's going to be able to hold for the back end as well. Still holding on to a Rage, a Freeze, and a Skeleton spell to be able to give a little bit more oomph to this push.
Here come those Super Barbarians on the top. Their job is to get rid of all those buildings on the top side so the Root Riders and the heroes can all collapse at the Town Hall. Freeze spell goes down on the Monolith, on the Town Hall area. Keep an eye on these Super Minions on the left. We did get past 1 minute right here. This could be that slower attack we were talking about. 1 minute and 10 seconds is approaching, and the Town Hall is not down yet. Still plenty of force, however. Just need to get through there. Here comes 120 soon, Woody. This is definitely going to be one of the slower attacks of this war so far.
Tough finish for Chien, as he knows that time is not on his side. With Dizi Esports already fallen behind off of that last strike from Zahid, this is not going to be a good mid-war start for Dizi Esports, now seeing their big time advantage crumble away as a rapid fast Momentum Shifter team has just really come in hard, Bash.
I think that was 125 there. I think I saw 135 on the clock. I'm just trying to keep as good of notes as possible so we have the most accurate information for you guys. Remember, Momentum Shifters was in the lead coming into this attack, and with that one being a little bit slower, they can definitely look to expand that lead. Even a 70-second attack really pushes this one where it starts getting out to that out of reach direction there. With only a few attacks left for Dizi Esports, we'll have to see what Momentum Shifters can bring to the table, but the goal here has to be at minimum 75 seconds. If you go faster than that, you're in a really nice position going into the 4th and 5th attacks of the war.
Well, that is where we are at right now. A time lead for the Momentum Shifters, but can they hold on to it? This is a team that has performed extraordinarily well through the quarters and semis leading into today, but they haven't always had the quickest attacks. They slowed down a little bit when Synchronic got a miss against them. Phillips scoring a 2-star hit let the Momentum Shifters slow down to get a 1 minute and 29 second average time in their war, but they also scored a 1 minute and 17 second average time earlier against Gremlin Storm. That was the perfect war that we saw from them. And so expect to see something around that mark for this war, if not even faster. Both of their 2 attacks so far have been below that 1 minute and 17 mark. And so Dizi Blast have got to be shaken now with only 2 attacks left to try to get back into the win column. It is becoming a very tight race between these 2 squads, Bash.
Yeah, and there's not much space left for Dizi. If Momentum Shifters puts up something fast here, Dizi's backs are going to be up against the wall. So really, I don't want to say there's a lot of pressure on this attack, but this is really a tone-setting attack here for the Momentum Shifters. If they can go quickly, not let them have any room to breathe, they can really finish this war strong. However, if they go a little bit slower, maybe 80 seconds, if they match 85 seconds there, maybe it allows Dizi a chance to come back. It's going to be Leo coming in with more Root Riders. There is a lot of Super Barbarians. A couple were already deployed, 20 still in the army camps. The Giant Arrow there on the Queen, going to go ahead and shape her path. Royal Champions in there on the right. The King's already in, and here come all those Roots. It's going to be a surge to the middle of the base. Here comes the barracks, and then one Overgrowth. As that Rage Tower is getting ready to go off, we'll see the Overgrowth right after it. Should be, oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, there goes the Overgrowth. I thought the Overgrowth would cover all that area, but decides to go with the Scattershot Monolith area instead.
Yeah, difficult call there, but he is going to get a big chunk of value shutting down a Scattershot and a Monolith. That is still going to be looking good for Leo as he's committed a lot of his troops really early on. The troops are still streaming out of the siege barracks, but the base is almost completely obliterated already. He's going to be having to wait now for the Overgrowth to wear out. It times out just perfectly as he shuts down that last Monolith with his final 3 spell, and it's going to be collapsing right to the core. Moss Leo has done it with another attack just barely over the 1 minute mark. Looked like 1 minute and 3 seconds. I think he is going to be extraordinarily happy with how that one finished off, Bash.
That's what I had it at. Also, Woody, 1 minute 3 seconds. That means Momentum Shifters are now up 25 seconds. That is dangerous territory if you're Dizi. It is very hard to make up any time in these wars, let alone 25 seconds within 2 attacks. You're going to have to hope that Momentum Shifters has a mistake like you had, something where they have 80 seconds, and then you're able to go make up a little bit of space. But you have to take this one attack at a time. You can't try to get it all back and force a mistake. You have to be patient, stick with it, and just bring your best attacks to the table. You don't have any other time. Now's the moment. Let's see what Dizi Esports has.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got to show us, Bash, because I know that this is not a war that they're going to give up easily. This is certainly going to come down to the wire, and with still plenty of opportunities to show their best. We have got a war still yet ahead of us, and they've got tough bases. Remember that as well. Synchronic got a 2-star hit against them, so you know that they can hold up against some tough foes. Is that going to be the case later on as the attacks get even more high stakes, where one of these players just starts to crumble under the pressure, or are we going to see that 15-15-star war that we would have enjoyed to see between Gremlin Story and Momentum Shifters? The only one so far today, but that sadly was not on our main screen. I guess the same could be said of Dizi Blast versus Furious 5, another 15v15 war that we did get to see. But the first one on the main stage could be here and now between Dizi and Mo.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, just sometimes that's how it works out. We can't really predict these things. We don't know how these wars are going to go, but we have a good one on our hands right now. Now, my wonder is if this one is slow or just average, or maybe we kind of have like an even exchange here. Is there a player on Dizi that is comfortable with the fireball attack, with the fireball rocket loons? Because when you get down 25 seconds, that's really the only way to make up that time, is really going like sub 1 minute. So do they have that trick in their bag? I mean, I don't know if anyone out there has ever tried that. That's a very hard thing to pull off. I mean, we saw earlier, one Tesla pops up and the whole attack kind of gets thrown out of whack when you're trying to get that massive value.
Yeah, that is certainly a terrifying spot to be in, and something that they are definitely going to want to try to avoid at all costs. They know that time is not in their favor, and even though they've got to be taking some pretty big risks now to try to get back in the lead, they do not want to sacrifice those reliable 3-stars. But with our time now showing the longest hit out of the war so far, Chen giving us 1 minute and 25 seconds, it's a pretty appreciable lead for the Momentum Shifters, who do a really solid job at holding on to those leads throughout the middle and late seconds of the war. You know, it's so funny how like their name is almost like a prophecy. They do so well at coming back from behind and then holding on to that advantage. I'm really expecting them to do a stellar job in this next match, Bash.
Yeah, since we've seen Momentum Shifters and seen them play a ton, that I agree. Their name is so fitting for how they play in their play style. We got Den coming in with Root Riders and Valkyries. We are starting to see kind of a shift into more Valkyries as they're able to like kind of shred through the bases a little bit more. Earthquake goes in with that giant, or the spiky ball, excuse me, from the King, who pops his giant gall, and then the Overgrowth. So that trick we talked about a little bit earlier, using the Earthquake, using the spiky ball to get some damage on that Town Hall. That Town Hall is very low now. Now, when all those troops come back, it should be no problem, but we'll deal with that here in about 28 seconds when the Overgrowth is gone. But so far, the troops are looking really good. Speed is looking fine here. 50 seconds elapsed.
50 seconds, and as the Overgrowth wears off, Den is just going to demolish this base. The Town Hall is going to be one of the last buildings to go down, as there's very little left. That is it. Dizi has done it, and with a very difficult bar set for them, they are coming close to hurdling it. Den just north of the 1 minute mark is going to be able to bring that average destruction time down from 1 minute and 17, from 1 minute and 15 rather, probably closer down to the 1 minute and 10 second area now, as he's peeling off quite a few seconds from that last strike, Bash.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. I want this war close on that final attack. That's what I'm hoping for. I want this war within 5, 6, 7 seconds here on the last attack. That's why I'm cheering for Den there. I don't have a horse in this race. I just love good, close wars. And that's exactly what Dizi needed at the right time. 1 minute, 2 seconds. Now, you got to hope Momentum Shifter slows down because they have been so quick. What's their slowest attack so far? 116 with Ahmed? I mean, if they go 116 here, that's kind of what they need. That would give them 14 seconds back. It would put them back at an 11-second disadvantage, which is, I mean, you can make that up with one attack. I don't know, man. But this should hopefully get them a little bit closer on that time gap.
Yeah, I certainly think that they've got a shot at making this happen now, and especially with that really impressive follow-up from Dizi. Mo Shifters know that they cannot slack at all at this point. This is still a very close race between these two teams, and are going to be extraordinarily well positioned to finish off with the end of the war in sight now. We've only got a few attacks left, 2 for Momentum Shifters and that one final one for Dizi Blast. But if Momentum Shifters start putting up 1 minute and 20, 1 minute and 30 second attacks like we saw from Dizi Blast earlier on, that is going to produce a very awkward place for the final hitter here. Sean and Zekin, the last two to attack for the Momentum Shifters, know that all of the war is coming down to them, and not just the war, but the entire season's performance hinges on these next 2 hits from the Momentum Shifters, Bash.
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, this is our final cup. Grand finals start next week, so it does come down to this. I mean, if you're Momentum Shifters, though, you're feeling a little bit better because you already have that silver ticket. But I mean, you talked about it at the open of this match. I mean, we're talking $2,000 just for getting in, $20,000 for winning. That's a nice chunk of change. So you definitely want to try to make it to the grand final. You don't want to get eliminated here. You don't want to give Dizi any opportunity to upset you with a come from behind win in the final 2 attacks. So I think they're still going to be going for it here. We might see some something crazy. Honestly, I think we see kind of the same of what we see in Root Riders or Dragons. Seems to be working really well for them. So I don't think we really see them deviate from that here in the 4th attack. No need to right now, right?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. This is still going to be a really tough position for them to like clinch, but I don't expect to see them going like off of the the book here. They've got a lot of great plans that they've executed well on already, and just expect to see them do more of the same high-level finishing blows here. They've got a 5-second advantage, so the Momentum Shifters are going to be trying to push that advantage even further now. With this big Root Rider assault along the top corner, Rage is down, and it's beautifully positioned as the Root Rider is going to path directly into it as they head toward those defenses. Tesla does pop up over on the left side, and that could cause a little bit of an issue there as one Root Rider is going to path outward toward it, but she'll join the rest of the pack there, and with another Rage spell down, Momentum Shifters Sean is going to freeze as well and pop that Eternal Tome to keep those troops safe, with Overgrowth now denying any damage from those big, heavy defenses in the core.
The overgrowth so crucial in these attacks. The Root Riders will go ahead and work through. They are going to be caught in the tornado for a split second, but that Queen was frozen there, so not taking too much damage. This one's actually looking really, really fast. This might be too fast for Dizi Esports. However, the Town Hall does wake up here. Queen goes to ability. Here's 1 minute, but there's only a few buildings remaining. Sean is going fast and got to finish off just the Town Hall here, and we're looking at a minute and 8 seconds. So Dizi does make up 6 seconds, but they are still trailing by 19 seconds, which is very, very tough.
Yes, super tough display of force now as the momentum shifters now have shown us yet another solid quick strike, giving Dizi even more of just like the sweat dripping down their brow, the jitters in their stomach, the excitement, the anticipation, but also the fear that a failure to execute in their last opportunity could be the end of them, Bash.
Yeah, and it's not like Dizi has done anything very wrong here. Their slowest attack is a minute 25 seconds, which really, that isn't too slow. It's just a small minor mistake, but momentum shifters have been on fire. From that opening attack from Ahmed within 1 minute 16 seconds, they have all been sub 1 minute 10 seconds. Seconds, they have all been sub 1 minute 10 seconds, with their slowest being 1 minute 8 after that. So they have picked up the pace, they've gone a lot faster, and that's what they needed to do. Now Dizi, you have to stay, you really need another 1 minute attack. You need to stay around there. I don't think you force it and try to go for sub 1 minute like with something crazy. I mean, if you get sub 1 minute with what you're used to, with what you're comfortable with, obviously that's fine, but I don't think you force something crazy here. I think you just hope you're fast enough and they're slow enough that you can get this victory.
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game right there. Just speed, efficiency, not trying to do anything fancy. Keep your head above water, and momentum shifters should be able to slide onto the win. Dizi Esports still giving us a very impressive showing, but just starting to slip and fall, stumbling with less and less time on each successive round.
Yeah, fifth and final attacks are coming up. We got one attack from each of these squads. If Dizi Esports can somehow make up 19 seconds, they will move on to the grand final. So they need to be faster than momentum shifters by 20 seconds on this attack somehow, which, I mean, that's just a tall task, especially with how momentum shifters are playing right now. All of the odds are in momentum shifters' favors, but Dizi looks to flip the table and flip the odds in their favor with this final attack that should be coming in any moment now as they're preparing their final troops. They're all in, Woody. Let's see what they have.
Let's do it, Bash. Hop on into the action as Dizi Esports have got one more chance to show us how fast they can attack to try to get this average attack time down. They're at the 1 minute and 11 mark right now, which is 4 seconds slower than the momentum shifters. Multiply that across 4 different attacks, and you've got a 16-second deficit to try to close up for Jaga on the final round. Angry Jelly on that Barbarian King is going to get him locked onto defenses early on. 4 Druids is going to be an impressive healing switch into tanking combination, as the Siege Barracks over on the left side corner now is going to already get those Druids in the action, supporting the Root Riders along the top side, as well as the Arch Queen along the top corner now, already popping her ability and getting those healers out to help her out.
Here we go, Queen's in, King is in, Root Riders are all through the middle. King had Angry Jelly on there, but that actually forces him to the outside of that compartment. Warden ability will protect all the Root Riders as they're surging through the middle, but the King is going to go ahead and deal with the Ice Golems there, actually in a pretty nice spot where it doesn't hold up any of the troops. But the big thing here is look how far away that Town Hall is. Spiky Ball comes in, Earthquake comes in, here comes the Overgrowth just to keep everything in check. It's 45 seconds have elapsed, and Yaga is all in. Dizi Esports has to go as quickly as possible and finish this triple out.
And they are going with rapid speed bash. They are passing the 1 minute mark now, though, and Jaga knows that he's got no time to waste. That overgrowth has taken a long time to wither away, and he's just losing those troops. He's committed so much early on to try to get this base down, and he is just missing out on his opportunity for the rapid fast finish that he needed to clinch victory in a short amount of time. He's got a lot of troops left. It is going to be a 3-star bash, but at the 1 minute and 20-second mark already passed, I think that Jaga did not do enough for Dizi Esports to pull them back ahead.
No, 1 minute, 22 seconds. That means that somehow momentum shifters, they need momentum shifters to be at 141, well, technically 142 for them to win this war, and I just don't see it. Momentum shifters have been on fire. They have been so strong throughout this war. They have been flying. It would take a really, really big mistake for them to be that slow on their final attack. This one is momentum shifters to lose, and they are looking like they should cruise to victory and into our grand final next weekend.